The propaganda campaign may have seemed an innocuous offense to the defectors, but if they returned to the U.S., they faced lengthy prison terms for desertion and aiding the enemy. The four men soon began to wonder whether they had made the biggest mistake of their lives. Could they really stay in North Korea, this alien, communist land, indefinitely? Was their way of life simply incompatible?
I was a little uncomfortable. A different race, a different color, different customs, a different ideology. I was afraid that they wouldn't let me say what I really wanted to say. The uneasiness of the way people look at me when I walk down the street. Ah, there goes that American bastard. And it gave me the ass.
They hated Americans for the bombing campaigns, for atrocities that were carried out in the North. And they hated them on a racial basis. They have a unique, homogeneous population, namely they're Koreans, and they're the best people in the world. And everyone else is judged by the fact that they're not Korean. And I can imagine in the 60s that these defectors were surprised to find out the level of hatred of Americans. On the other hand, here are these prized defectors that the North Koreans make a huge propaganda campaign out of. You would think they would treat them like kings.
I didn't want to stay. I didn't think I could adapt.
In 1966, four Americans tried to escape North Korea and, at enormous risk, collectively sought asylum at the Soviet embassy. If the Soviets accepted them, they hoped to be sent to Russia. If they refused, the consequences were too dire to contemplate.
We thought, because they were white people too, they would accept. The Russians didn't treat us good. What the hell you come here for? And they tried to persuade us to stay in North Korea. They notified the Korean government. The personnel came, and you Russians can take on that. I didn't believe the Korean government would punish us for that. They'd educate me more. The great leader, Comrade Kim Il-sung, said, "We will take them along with us to communism." They might be a different race, they might be a different color, but God damn it, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to learn their way of life. I did everything I could, learning the language, learning the customs, learning their greetings, their life. I gotta think like this, I gotta act like this. I've studied their Juche ideal, their revolutionary history, their lofty virtues about the great leader. I studied most of the Workers' Party's policies. Regular studies the same as a Korean. They would be completely responsible for our life. And the one thing I really accepted was, man is the master of his life. I agreed with this version of the Juche ideal. This was rather touching. Little by little, I become to understand the Korean people.
Although at the time economically ahead of the South, North Korea remained a developing country, and living conditions lagged far behind America. All involvement in propaganda was suspended following the incident at the Soviet embassy. Confined to their own private world, they began to wonder if they had outlived their usefulness, and if they had no value, they had no future. Several minders from the Korean People's Army were assigned to them. These political guides could verify their continued education.
As far as living the life like a Korean at that time, it was rather ridiculous. They told us the best thing in personal safety right now, until the people begin to understand you and you be able to understand our people, is to live a rather restricted type of life. We didn't live in barbed wire fences, and we didn't have guards. Our guides would come and leave. You can say actually he was like a servant. Of course, he's the party servant. He always tells us, anything you feel you need or you want to do, just let me know and he'll arrange it. The first years, we didn't do nothing. The standard was fishing and drinking parties, and we passed time. We read some books, novels, the works of the great leader. We go out in the river and take our swims, lay in the sun and smoke our cigarettes. We always talk about home. It's funny, everyone leaves home, the first thing they sit down and talk about is home. When we go out, we're gentlemen. Dress like a gentleman, act like a gentleman. There were no joking or laughing. We kept our mouths shut. Listening to foreign broadcasts is infiltration of foreign culture. I might ask one of the guides what's going on in the outside world. If he wanted to tell me, he would tell me. If he didn't, then it didn't disturb me, not at all.
The world they had left behind was changing beyond recognition, but the Americans were cut off, with little to do but study the works of Kim Il-sung and government policy. From this isolation emerged the inherent flaws in their friendship.
Everyone got along good until in 1965, when Jenkins come over, everything went to his clique. He tried to push everyone around like he was pulling rank in the army. Absher and Parrish, they liked that. They become friends with him immediately. I don't go through that. I'd taken my uniform off when I crossed the line. I didn't consider myself military no more. And nobody, I don't care who he was, he's not coming up to me and tell me I'll do this and I'll do that. I didn't kiss nobody's ass, and I wasn't kissing his. They threw me out for Jenkins. Let them be like they are. I told them, in the future you're going to realize they only didn't live long enough to realize the truth. One day he tried to push me around with his so-called rank, and there was 2 blows. I hit him and he hit the ground. He wanted to attack me back, but I think the slap on the face was enough to settle him down. I'd rather not make any more statements on Jenkins. The more I think about him, the more I get the ass.
By 1972, the Americans' re-education was considered advanced enough to be granted North Korean citizenship. In return for